Dolores Keane, who passed away peacefully on Monday at the age of 72. Born into a family steeped in traditional music and song, the Galway native was the vocalist in the original Dé Danann lineup before she launched her solo career, which yielded 5 albums, and best known for interpretations of songs like Caledonia, Galway Bay and The Island. She was presented with a Lifetime Achievement Award at the TG4 Gradam Ceoil Awards ceremony 4 years ago, and had many fans, both regular and famous. One of the latter, Nanci Griffith, of course, the American country legend, called her the Queen of the Soul of Ireland and described her voice as sacred. Now, a number of years ago, Dolores took part in Clare FM's annual show In My Own Words, and in this section she spoke about one of her career highlights, which was singing in the legendary Carnegie Hall.
One of the highlights in my career, a very frightening one, and frightening is a very light word for it, believe me, to stand up in front of an audience in Carnegie Hall. It is vast inside, and I can still hear the sound of my footsteps coming from the door of the dressing room. And I walked in front of the mic. I stood in front of the mic, and I looked round, and everyone was standing up. And I just went blank. And then I said to myself, I have to do this. I'm here now. Here I am. Forget about Carnegie Hall. Forget about Carnegie Hall. I put up my hand and I said, thank you very much for coming along. I came out from Galway to be with you tonight. And the crowd went ecstatic. And I really enjoyed it after that. Every single minute. I couldn't care less if it was Carnegie Hall or if it was down the bog or if it was down my field of turnips. You know, just, it was like any other gig, better than any other gig, because the response that I was getting from the audience was just incredible.
That was the late Dolores Keane speaking as part of our annual show In My Own Words about singing at Carnegie Hall, and there will be a celebration of Dolores' life today, this afternoon, at St Patrick and St Cuna Church in Kilcoona, and she'll be buried afterwards in Patrick Cemetery. And joining us now to reflect on the woman he knew and an amazing career for Dolores Keane is our own Eoin O'Neill, of course, musician and presenter of the West Wind Own. We really appreciate you coming in to.
It's actually an honour in this occasion. It's a real honour to come in and talk about such a. That's a lovely clip what you played, because that captures everything. Her accent. You know, sometimes people are ashamed of their accent. You know, they get to on a stage and they feel that their accent is.
You need a mid-Atlantic American
sometimes,
twang,
and it's very disappointing. And when somebody is proud and it just is who they are, and they have nothing to apologise for, it's such a beautiful thing. And she was a great person.
And that clip on as well, what struck me about it was, you know, we were talking about it off air, so many musicians I admire have performed at Carnegie Hall. It's one of the legendary venues in world music. For Dolores to have sang there tells you a lot about the regard she was held in by international audiences, yet she said she didn't, as you say, in her own accent, unvarnished, and didn't care whether it was Carnegie Hall or down the bog in a turnip field. And I suspect she's telling the truth.
Oh, 100%. I mean, it was very obvious, you know. Yeah. And I think all the great musicians are like that. Actually, I think that when you're the great, when people admire you, there's something about knowing when's the right time to sing a song. Can I tell you my story about Dolores Keane?
Oh, by all means,
how it affected my life. I did my Leaving Cert, and I studied really hard for my Leaving Cert, and then I went to university. And after about a few weeks in university, I knew that it was over. The studying thing was over, and I didn't know anything except that I needed to go wandering. And I went wandering. I was 17. We did the Leaving Cert very early in those days. I went wandering, and I was kind of busking over in Germany and Holland and different places, wandering around. And I was busking one day, playing the banjo. Now I couldn't play the banjo. I was singing, "Will you go, lassie, go?" I can't sing either, but I was
not being able to sing or play the banjo didn't hold you back.
It doesn't hold people back if they're buskers and if they're having fun. And I was free. And nobody knew where I was, and I was having a great time. But anyway, I was playing outside the Tinef Cathedral, the Cologne Cathedral, a beautiful, beautiful big cathedral. And this Dublin fella who was over in Germany said, there's a gig on tonight in the Tinef bar, the Irish bar. He says, I think you'd like it, it's traditional music. I said, okay. And I had been aware of Planxty, and I'd been aware of music, and I loved Planxty. And it was the songs that were interesting me. But I went along to this beautiful little Irish bar, and it was... there were about 45 people there, candle lit. And there was a young couple playing to about 45 people. Yeah, it was lovely. And I'd heard the name Dolores Keane. Of course I had, because she'd sang with Dé Danann at this stage. But the intimacy, there was a man playing a bouzouki, and his name is John Faulkner. John now lives in Kinvara. And John and Dolores had a relationship, musical, and they were married for many, many years. And I knew after about 3 songs, and Dolores was playing a few tunes on the flute as well, I knew that my life had changed that moment, that minute, that I didn't want to be in a band, I didn't want to be in U2, I didn't want to be in that. I wanted to have something intimate. I wanted to play music that was just lovely in 2s, people, 3 people. And when I saw this beautiful woman I was 18, 17, 18, she was probably 23, 24. She'd long hair, and she sat up there and she smiled, and the Germans, and they just loved her, and she sang with this amazing accent, and the music that came out of that voice, I'd never heard really anything like it before. And John it was the most natural thing I'd ever heard. And after the gig, they kindly let this young lad hang out with them and we were kind of a bit different in those days. We drank. People drank a lot more in those situations, and night times lasted a long time.
So you had good fun.
Well, not only had I good fun, I was inspired by these 2 people that took me under their wing for 8 hours, and my life changed. And I will always remember, I came home 2 days later, bought a bouzouki, and I've been doing that ever since. And I hope I've been stayed true to that lovely sound of 2 or 3 people singing songs and playing tunes together, as opposed to the rehearsed band situation, which isn't from me at all.
Yes, and just on that point, I want to ask you about that. You were more, as you say, smaller numbers of people, just you and an accompanist, rather than bands. Dolores experienced both sides of that. Obviously, Dé Danann venturing out by herself. I wonder, is there a particular part of her career that was a highlight for you, or when assessing the legacy of someone of the stature of Dolores Keane, do you kind of have to take the career in the round as a whole? Dé Danann were legendary, she contributed massively there, but then breaking out by herself, she really established herself as well. She did to
the whole of Ireland and the whole of anybody that was interested in the world. But the Danann story is beautiful, because Dolores was brought up in Carlestrand mostly by her 2 aunts, Rita and Sarah, and she subsumed the music. She assumed big long 10-verse songs, and that was her thing, and she never learned them. They were just been sung all the time, and she had them. But one day in Mrs. Cullen's pub, she met Johnny McDonough, Ringo. Ringo's a great Galway man. He's another man with a great strong accent, a Bowron player, the greatest Bowron player of all time. And he said to her, Frankie, and she knew Frankie Gavin since she was 12, since he was 12. He was a very young virtuoso. And Charlie Piggott and Alec Finn. Alec Finn was a great bouzouki player from England. We're starting a group, Ringo said. And Dolores, she said this on the Tommy Tiernan show as well, she said, yeah, great, that's really interesting, and we'd like you to sing with us. And it was the first time she'd ever sung with accompaniment. And it was like beautiful. It was like Alec had such and Frankie would be dancing around the fiddle behind her. And they totally respected the tradition and the long song. And, Ramblin' Irishman became quite a big hit for us that were in the thing. And it was just a lovely little Shano song almost, and the bouncing fiddle and the Charlie Piggott was playing banjo and mandolin. It was beautiful, and it was a great time, and it was new. And whatever happens now, that can never happen again, because it was never done before. And people don't realise that Luke Kelly was the first, Liam Clancy was the first, Christy Moore was the first.
And is that what marks Dolores out as being so special? She was up there with those icons. She was ahead of the game.
She might have been ahead of them all.
You rate her that highly?
Oh, everybody rates her that high. Anybody that like, I would have met her in Kinvara. There was a great old hotel in Kinvara in the 80s and 90s called Winkle's Hotel, and the best of music happened there. And again, it was when we were young and wild. and late and long sessions, and Dolores would sit in and she'd just be lovely, and it was just very special, and like there would have been maybe 20 people there, and she sang from somewhere deep inside, and she always did. And even when she got famous, when she had a different sound behind her, she had a very commercialised accompaniment, you know. It was kind of countryish more than trad, and it was lovely, it was great, and it really did her, it brought her to the huge audiences. But the fact that she was Dolores Keane from Carlestrane never ever left that sound, no matter who she played with, you know. And the greatest thing was Mary Black and Emmylou Harris and herself singing Sonny. Absolutely beautiful voices, you know.
And that impact on international audiences and international musicians, you know, and I already mentioned Nanci Griffith describing her voice as sacred. Does that add to Dolores' legacy, the part she played in bringing, promoting Irish traditional music to an international audience, but just establishing herself as well as being a singer, a musician of real merit? Well,
you know, Dolores going to an international audience is almost secondary. Dolores was for Irish. The Irish people love Dolores Keane. So many women, particularly women, are singing and have sung for the last 40, 50 years because of Dolores Keane. She's given them songs to sing. So it's not about her for me, her legacy, that's not important. What's important is that she's in every household in this country, and particularly the west of Ireland. There's Edith Piaf in France, there's Dolly Parton in America, you know, there's Nana Mouskouri in Greece. There's all these one people, and Dolores is our diva. She's our Maria Callas.
Maria Callas.
Yeah, Callas, you know. And she really is, because there's so much music in her voice. And it's a sad day. It's a very sad day that she's not around anymore. But she's huge legacy. She recorded so much with so many different people, and it's a beautiful thing. And there's fear. I was watching this online there. The people of Headford up there where she lives, the coffin was coming through last night, and they were all out in the streets. And she might have been the most important singer of all time, you know, in this country, because she gave voice to so many people, and she really kept the tradition ballad sacred, and made us very proud of the traditional song.
We are going to play out with a song from Dolores' own, and look, there's so many to choose from, you know, the aforementioned Caledonia, the island, and Galway Bay, or whatever it might be, but you've gone for Let It Be.
I have.
Why can you tell us why you've chosen this particular song?
There are certain musicians and singers, Seamus Begley was another one, that have their accent, and Seamus Begley could make any song by John Denver sound if it comes from the Blasket Islands. But with Dé Danann here, with the beautiful arrangement, if I don't know how long you're going to get it to play the song, but it's a song everybody knows, Let It Be, and they make it sacred. Thanks, Alan, for allowing me to be here to say that.
Well, it is our pleasure to have you in, because I can't think of anyone better to come in as someone who knew her as a person and as an amazing singer and musician as well. Eoin, thank you so much for joining us to pay tribute to the late great Dolores Keane.